Hey gang, it's Steve with the Range Minded Podcast, and in this episode, we talk about teaching, we talk about talking, and we talk about a tour. But you're going to have to listen to what each one of those things mean. Anyways, hope you enjoy this episode of the Range Minded Podcast. Have you ever wondered what happens when you mix CLP with hops number 9? Well, I've never really wondered it. I'm not going to test it. I just wondered if you guys ever wondered that, because don't mix it, okay? Just don't, or do. You're responsible if you do. But honestly, that's not even what we're going to be talking about tonight on the Range Minded Podcast. Welcome back, friends. This is Steve with, yes, the Range Minded Podcast. They say you're supposed to say things 3 times, like an advertisement. So if I said Range Minded Podcast one more time, then you'd realize that you're probably listening to the Range Minded Podcast. And yes, this is Steve with the Range Minded Podcast. Anywho, enough with the flim-flam and gimmicks and such. It's been a minute since let's try that one more time. It's been a minute since I posted a show. I've been busy, but what do you know? And that rhymed. Man, I'm full of snarkiness. Full of the snarky snarks. Anyways, I just thought I'd take a few minutes and push a show out because it's been a minute. Let's see, what's been happening? What's been happening in my world? Well, I've had a chance to teach a couple classes at Independence. It's been long awaited. It's been great. Just this past week, I taught another enhanced class. And it's kind of funny when you teach the enhanced class, especially in the Boise Valley, because there are so many people moving from out of state that are trying to escape these socialist utopias that keep them from being armed. And then they move to a state and a city. Now, Boise is slowly turning blue. It's kind of a purple color right now. But they move to a state and a city that still accepts the idea that a sovereign citizen has the right to keep and bear arms to defend himself, his property, and his loved ones, or hers. So you get these people coming in on these classes. And I'm not going to say the whole class was filled with refugees, quote unquote. But there were a couple of couples. Not really couple. There was a few folks that had moved from California, and some from other states to experience Idaho and its beautiful freedoms and its amazing Second Amendment love. So you get these folks that come here and they've purchased firearms and they understand how awesome it is to be able to buy whatever you want with a standard capacity magazine and not have to wait or jump through hoops or whatever that they have to do in these other states. It baffles them that they're able to enjoy a right. And it's sad to think that there are states out there that are throwing true constitutional rights out the window and trying to replace them with artificial rights that were never written in the Constitution. Silliness, my friends, silliness. It was actually a lot of fun to teach the class. I've been kind of on a hiatus, man. As of this recording, it's 11 o'clock at night, so I'm going to sound a little sloppy, I'm sure. But it's been kind of nice to be able to teach these classes and to interact with these people at all points in their firearms journey. We had some retired police officers. We had there was a gentleman there that was both a Marine and then joined the Army. Older dude that you could tell had some international experience in some ways, I guess you could say. Usually when dudes, here's another like sidetrack, sorry. You can tell the dudes that have done stuff in the military because they never really talk about stuff that they did. until you get into a conversation, and then they just kind of pitch things here and there about where they were at certain times in American history, recent past type stuff. It's the dudes that brag and talk way too much that I always wonder if they're full of shit. And usually my gut is right. It's the dudes that don't talk about what they've done that I trust way more. Another funny thing is I had a chance. Man, here's another sidetrack to the sidetrack. John Rhodes, another instructor there at the shop. He's another one of those guys that I'd known that he's been a lot of places and done a lot of things in a lot of different countries, because I know we have some mutual friends. I've seen some of the pictures that he never he doesn't have social media, but every once in a while he'll show me something that he, some picture from the past on his phone. We had a fun conversation Saturday night, and he was just showing me some stuff from the past. The dude was basically a badass, and you can still kind of tell today. But he's retired. He's just chilling in life, and it's just kind of funny. It's kind of funny talking to these dudes that slowly open up. I think it's great. I honestly, I'm honored that they feel comfortable sharing some of their stories with me, because I'm not a veteran in any way. I totally support the military as long as we're fighting for the right reasons. I don't always trust the folks in charge, but usually the boots on the ground, those guys are pretty solid. And gals, yes, there's gals out there too. But there's not a lot of door-kicking ladies out there right now. Anyway, something else maybe you guys didn't know, and I'll get back to my class, I promise. I'll get back to the story of the class. But something else you need to know, a sidetrack to the sidetrack to the sidetrack. You need to commit this to memory if you have not already. The Second Amendment states what? A well-regulated militia, comma, being necessary to the security of a free state, comma, the right of the people to keep and bear arms, comma, shall not be infringed. The militia is not a government entity. The militia is the people. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Friends, if you commit this to memory, if you understand the words and the meaning of the Second Amendment, if you read contemporary documentation of what the founders were thinking as they wrote our Constitution, which I truly feel is inspired by Providence, but penned by men, the more you understand the context and the history, the more you'll be able to back up your freedoms. I promise you that. Anyway, let's backtrack from the other sidetracks, okay? The class. So like I said, there was 22 students in the class. And then we had a couple show up a little late. They had to bounce out of a different class, so they came in and sat in the second half of the class. And in the state of Idaho, if you don't know, we have something that's almost constitutional carry. It's not quite a constitutional carry state. It's close enough to where you could probably call it a constitutional carry state, meaning we don't need a permit to carry. Anybody 18 or older can carry concealed in most places in the state of Idaho. Then we have our, I guess you could call it the standard concealed permit, which has been in effect for, I can't remember how long. It's been quite a while, 95, something like that. Maybe, I can't remember for sure. Don't quote me on that. But we've had the ability to have a concealed weapons permit in the state of Idaho for quite a while. But in 2018, the state legislature decided it's time to be able to have something that has greater reciprocity, meaning it's recognized in more states. In order to do so, the state realized they had to place requirements on getting this enhanced permit, getting other states to say, yeah, we'll recognize that permit. side note to that, isn't it funny that your driver's license is recognized in every state and driving is a privilege? Yet the Second Amendment is a constitutional amendment, a guaranteed freedom, but it's not recognized in every state? Okay, and the parentheses there. So in that enhanced permit, the state requires that there is an 8-hour class in person. Within that 8-hour class, there is a portion. We do a 2-hour portion. Can't remember for sure if it's required to be at least 2 hours. But there's a 2-hour portion of legal side of stuff, meaning your legal obligation as a concealed carry holder, the understanding of use of force, and that kind of stuff. The attorneys that we use go deep into Idaho law, some case law, and some other law, that involving in the state. Obviously, we can't go every state that recognizes the enhanced permit, because that would be a very long class. And then there is 6 hours, because it's an 8-hour class that the state requires. There's the rest of the 6 hours is education, and then the shooting portion. In the state of Idaho, as some of the other states, we're required to shoot 99 rounds. Funny thing about those 99 rounds is it doesn't say anything about those 99 rounds impacting a target of any sort or a proficiency on target, anything like that. It just says you have to shoot 98 rounds. Now, John Rhodes was the one that was doing the shooting portion, and he's going to be so mad because I can't remember his name now. A couple of our instructors were running the range side. I didn't go into the range to have them shoot. And they don't just let the people shoot 99 rounds and call it good. No, they have them do some, they go through the grip and sight alignment, sight picture, that kind of stuff. Good trigger press, coming up with better sight pictures, working on shooting quicker. So we do have them do some accuracy and some proficiency stuff, but the state of Idaho does not require that, which I still find intriguing in a way. Now, back to the students. Of those 22 students, a lot of them, maybe not quite half of them, were natives of Idaho, meaning been longer than 10 years. The rest of them are fairly new to the state, and most of all of them are in that Treasure Valley area, from, let's just say, from Boise towards Caldwell, that, kind of that big lump of homes. So it's interesting to see their excitement, for one. The light bulb turn on some of the weight of carrying that gun, I guess you could say. The responsibilities of being a good firearms owner, and not somebody that's just got a permit and can do whatever they want. We talked about in the class about how you can't just be a jerk anymore. If you make a habit of cutting people off in traffic or flipping the bird or that kind of stuff, if you're carrying, you're no longer able to be that person. You need to be the person that you want everybody else to be, I guess you could say. So it's fun. I love teaching that class. I love teaching people that have just started their firearms journey. To me, it's rewarding. That's kind of the point of me becoming an instructor, was, honestly, and I think I've talked about this before, the purpose of me getting my credentials to teach were to help kids and ladies, because I knew that both of those were the future of the firearms community. And I'm going back to like 2013-ish, I think, is when I first got certified through the NRA. I say that kind of embarrassing now, but then the NRA was really the only thing that, we just won't get in that conversation. But anyway, that was my purpose. Like, I wanted to teach the children and the mothers, because I knew, or women, I should say, because I knew if dudes got married to a lady that loved to shoot, then the Second Amendment is going to be awesome in that family unit. I knew if moms and kids understood the responsibility and the importance and the severity, I guess, of firearms, the Second Amendment would be solid in that community or in that home. And I still feel that way today. So if you're at the point, maybe you're still pretty fresh and new on this journey, and you're a lady, you're a mom, or whatever, it doesn't matter. If you're a woman and you understand that defense is something that's your responsibility, preserving your own life, don't be scared to get into the community. Like, I know for a fact in Independence we have, Sarah, and there was supposed to be another gal coming in to teach. I don't know if that ever happened, but Sarah's an amazing teacher. And outside of Independence, there are some amazing women instructors across the United States. Just because you think it's a man's only world, and it's not, don't let that stop you from learning how to defend yourself. Because the amendment is written for everybody, right? The Second Amendment is written for everybody. Now, we can get into a conversation, which we're not, about felons or whatever. Honestly, I think if you've paid your dues to society, then maybe it's time for you to get your rights completely back. Did Steve just say he thinks felons should own firearms? Let me say that again. If you have paid your debts to society, then I think you should be able to own your firearms again. I think you should be able to vote. But if you make that same mistake again, or another violent mistake again, what takes you to a federal crime, then maybe the hammer should hit a little harder. Anyway, back to the class. Apparently I'm having a hard time staying on topic. Okay, I apologize. So we get all these folks from all over now, I guess, well, not all over, the Treasure Valley, and taking these classes. And like I said, I love to see the light bulb turn on. And not just the new shooters, not just the transplants that come from other states that are finally understanding freedom for the first time. But some of the dudes, and I say dudes because it's usually guys that think they know everything, right? It's fun to see the light bulb turn on and they realize, yeah, I've been doing stuff. Or maybe I could improve on things I do. And that's what I hope I do when I teach. Like, I hope I help people realize that maybe there's a better way to do something. Maybe there's a better way to look at a problem. And maybe I hope I provide ways for them to resolve issues that they think they need to fix. Hopefully that happens. Am I the perfect instructor? No. No, I am not. I've got a lot to learn myself. But I also learn when I teach. That's one of the other things I really love about teaching. So anyway, I'm sure there'll be more classes coming up over on that side of the state. I actually got I got asked by a corporate office on this side of the state. I guess they had some issues outside of their building, not far from me here, that the owner of the company decided, hey, maybe I should allow my employees the opportunity to defend themselves. Now, that is an employee or a boss employer that everybody should have. He wants his employees to be able to defend themselves. So I was contacted by somebody in the office about teaching a class to his employees, which I told him I was absolutely down. We're just trying to figure out the rest of that, logistics of that. And I'm excited because I've never done like a corporate training session. And I think that'll be kind of fun and intriguing because, he's got employees from various ages and backgrounds. And I know the owner of this company, and he's a veteran, and then we've worked pretty close together at times. So I know who he is. And so it should be pretty awesome. I'm excited about it. Hopefully we can get all the details figured out on that. I got some things I got to take care of on my end so I can get back with him. But while I was in Boise, meanwhile, don't worry, this is not a sidetrack. Unless I think of some other things to talk about the class. This is kind of the next segment, so hopefully I don't veer off the tracks too much here. I had a chance. Let's see, what did I do? The class was Saturday afternoon, so which is kind of interesting. I've never taught a class that late. So the class went from noon to 8 p.m. Not that I was against it, but it was on a Saturday. I'm kind of surprised it was that full on a Saturday evening. I'm glad people were willing to separate that amount of time to hang out with me and have them allow me to teach them what I know about the community, firearms community, I should say, because I don't know nothing about Boise. So after that, Sunday morning, I guess it would be Sunday morning, I went over to, man, can I say the name of the store? I guess it doesn't matter. So there's a new 511 store in Boise. Not a very big store, but I've never been in there. Thought I'd check it out. It was kind of fun. I kind of like talking to people, if you haven't been able to tell. So I had a chance to, it was just, the store was not, there had one employee working, and there was a gentleman, his wife, and 2 kids, and then me. That's all that was in the store the whole time. And then that family, they checked out. So I had a chance just to hang out with the employee in there. And lo and behold, he's like, what are you doing on this side of the state? You know, he's talking that I'd never been in the store before. And it turns out he just got credentialed as a firearms instructor. He was a veteran as well. So it was kind of fun just to talk to him and connect and just hear, why he wanted to be an instructor. His reasons were a little bit different, but he hopes to teach, and I hope he does. I hope he takes advantage of those certifications and his background to help people on their journey as well, because the pool is expanding exponentially. I recently heard the other day, and I don't remember who shared this statistic, and I like statistics. I'm not even going to look it up. For the past 38 months, every month, there have been at least 1 million firearms sold. For the past 38 months, per month, 1 million guns. That's a lot of guns. Now, without me really diving into the statistics and everything, I don't know how many of those are new firearms owners. I'm sure there's a portion that are. I'm sure. Recently I shared that. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about that CNN report about the minorities in Southern California, the lesbian couple, and then the group of friends, African-American friends that never would have bought guns before, but now they're taking firearms classes and worried about defending themselves and their families. That's not a new phenomenon either, I don't think. I honestly think that's been kind of the unsung heroes of the firearms community. And it's probably weird for you guys to think about the Democrat side of the Second Amendment being the unsung heroes. But we're really neglecting these folks that are coming into the community because they vote different. And that's a problem. That's a problem, guys. We need to fix ourselves. Shunning these people because they may have voted for somebody that we don't agree with is bad, because we're alienating, I don't know, 10%, maybe 12%, maybe more than that, of the firearms community because we don't like how they vote. It's okay that they vote for a Democrat. It's okay. That's the point of a republic. People have the freedom to choose. I know they may not see everything the same way that most of the gun community sees things, but they understand the purpose of the Second Amendment. And that's something, instead of disagreeing on because we hate who they voted for, That should be something we should be building the community off of because it's something that we agree with. I know you guys know this. Excuse me. Pardon me. But I've talked about the Pink Pistols before. Maybe you haven't heard of them before. Maybe you have. The Pink Pistols is an LGBTQ pro Second Amendment group. That is a portion of the firearms community that is either being undersupported, unrecognized, or completely ignored because of their sexual preference. I don't agree with that particular lifestyle, but it's not up to me, right? They're still citizens of the best damn country in the United States, and we should still be accepting them for who they are on at least that front. We need everybody in the community as possible. We need to make, oh man, you can just see the red hats, right? Make the Second Amendment normal again. There are people in the firearms community that are being ignored and shunned and left out that don't need to be that way. When I was teaching this class, the end of the class, I did I don't even remember. I don't have like a written goodbye speech at the end of my class. I just have a conversation, right? Before they leave. I just take, 5-10 minutes at the end of the class. And in this class, I do remember I said something like, now go out there and be the Second Amendment person that you want others to be. Be the citizen that you want everybody else to be. And that's what we should be. It shouldn't take some bald, fat instructor to tell you, hey, be a good person. In the Second Amendment community, we're not vocal people. I get it. We tend to be the ones that say, and maybe it's the FUD side of the community, that's never going to happen here. They would never try to do that. They're not going to take away our guns. And that very mentality has screwed us. Our parents, the generation before us, that part of the firearms community was so passive and lazy and apathetic that they effed us over. Now, I'm not saying everybody was that way, right? But there was enough of them that were too apathetic. We ended up with the 92 assault weapons ban. We ended up with the Gun Control Act, right? Because they were lazy. And now we're starting to be the same way. We are. Look at the bump stock ban. I think bump stocks are stupid. But should they be illegal? No. Are they a machine gun? No. If you want to waste your money on a stupid bump stock, you should be able to waste your money on a stupid bump stock. It is not a machine gun according to the ATF's own definition. Rare breed triggers, same way. Pistol braces, same way. We are in control. We're the employer in this country. If any of you guys own a business, and I know some of you probably do, if you had an employee that was lazy, that complained, that didn't do the things the way you want them done or expect them to be done, are you going to keep that employee around? Nope. You're going to fire him. The federal government, the representation that is in Washington, we are in charge of them, not the other way around. That's why I hate the term leadership. They call so many of those people in Washington, well, the leadership. They're not leaders. They are septic tank workers. And they're screwing up our Constitution. Sidetrack. sorry. Let me find my zen again real quick. I think my heart rate's increased some. Community, right? We need to stop ignoring other parts of the firearm community because of how they dress, who they want to love, or who they voted for. We all have a common goal. All that other stuff we can figure out, we can work around, and maybe things get better. We're seeing the community changing, right? Again, back to that CNN report. And if you spend any time on the internet looking around at statistics of firearms purchases, there are blue, ultra blue Democrats that realize something's not right and that are buying firearms to defend themselves. That should be the point where we in the community, or any of us that have any way of influence, should be stepping in and accepting these people with open arms instead of bitching about who they voted for. Okay, enough with that. I guess that was... What does that have to do with 511? Holy cow, where did this come from? Anywho, how are you guys doing? You guys surviving? You guys making the most of the somewhat lull in firearms prices, ammunition prices? I don't think we're ever going to see them like they were. I hope we do. Ammo prices, I mean. It might be a good time to just suck it up and buy some ammo. I know it's not cheap. It might be a good time. Just saying. I don't have any insider information, but I do feel like things are going to get a little bit more expensive here shortly. If depending on how the election goes, honestly, I don't think it matters which way the election goes. I think ammo is going to get more expensive. That's my little segment on ammo prices. Let's see, another thing I did on Sunday. So after I went to the 511 store and chatted with the employee, I did buy some patches there because they had some cool patches, and you know I like me some patches. I met up with Joey. Now you guys remember Joey Harris? He's been on the show a couple times. I did a live with him as well a few weeks ago. He works for Primary Weapons Systems out of Boise. I'm telling you, the state of Idaho has some of the best 2A related businesses out there. I think we have a huge concentration of 2A businesses. Side note. I'm really good at these side notes. Just consider everything I say in parentheses, because sooner or later it's going to end up somewhere. Anyway, so I meet up with Joey Harris, and I said, well, actually I saw him Saturday before the class. I'm like, dude, when do I get to go have a tour of Primary Weapons? And he said, call me tomorrow, meaning on Sunday. So, after I spent some time at 511, I give old Joey a ringy dingy, right? And said, hey, can I still come take a tour? So he sent me the address of Primary Weapons. He met me there, and I'm going to tell you right now, friends, if you have never heard of Primary Weapon Systems, and this is not a paid advertisement, I know their quality of firearms. I've shot their firearms. We had, maybe we still do, we had a full auto primary weapon systems. Full auto primary weapon systems, PWS. Let's just say PWS, okay? We'll make it simple. And man, that gun just ran and ran and ran and ran. So Primary, they make piston ARs, okay? We're not going to get into the difference between a piston gun and a gas impinged rifle. I think we've already had that conversation at some point. There's pros and cons to both. The nice thing about a piston gun and the PWS is it's able to regulate that piston. So if I want to run a can or whatever, there's adjustments. I mean, just, it's the bomb, okay? And, I was going to say something, but maybe I better ask Joey before I say some of these things that we talked about. Let's just say there's PWS guns all over the world, okay? They're a proven platform. Um, they run and they run and they run, and they're just pretty damn cool. Anyway, so man, I'm really good at side notes tonight. Hope you guys don't mind the little side tracks and veering off into the weeds. Haven't done that for a while. Just kidding. It happens every show. So I had a chance to watch. And this building's huge. It's a massive building. It's even bigger than what it looks like on the outside. So being on Sunday, there wasn't a lot going on. There wasn't any machinists there working or anything. But there is a ton of equipment in there. Like, I was baffled at how much stuff they have going on in there. So Joey walks me in there. We go through the office. He's showing me people. This is where so-and-so sits, and this is where I sit, and there's domestic cells. Like, I'm going to know any of these people. I do know a few people that work there, honestly. So then he's like, well, let's go look in the back. Let's walk around and look at some of the machines, which is what I was really excited for. I love tools. I love machines. The products are amazing to me. Like, I think it's cool that they're developing and creating these rifles. But what blows my mind is the people that created the machines that can create these items, right? That's what fascinates me. I love machines. So we go back there. I think the first thing we looked at, now Joey talked about the new suppressor from Primary. Look at the new PWS suppressor. It's 3D printed titanium. It's super cool. So that machine runs whether there's somebody there or not. I mean, it's just pumping out these suppressors. So I was able to look at the machine. Obviously, I kept my hands in my pockets the entire tour. Because as much as I want to touch, not that I was going to steal anything, because I'm not going to go to prison for something, because I love touching things, and so I'm like, dude, I cannot touch anything in this building. Like, it's just so damn cool. I'm gonna break something if I look at it wrong. That's my fear. So we go in to look at this 3D printer. It's in its own sterile room, and you can see that it's just like, I think there were 6 cans on the tray that it was working on. And it's not a fast process. Like, it's not something that just spits out a can like every 15 minutes. It's a long process, but it is so cool. I mean, you think about printing a metal item, 3D printing a chunk of metal. It's pretty amazing. They had I don't know. I guess I could say this. They had some pieces, I guess there was a power surge or something, so they had some incomplete items off the printer. And you guys, if you've seen or messed with a 3D printer, you understand how they work. Like, I don't have to go into detail on how these things work. But you can also imagine the interior of a suppressor. It's pretty, there's a lot going on between the baffles and the outside. So it's kind of cool seeing this unfinished item that they just have to destroy. You can't do anything with it. But it's just cool. It's just cool seeing something you look inside and you see other things inside of the inside. It's cool. It's cool. So after we look at the 3D printer, we start walking through the main machining facility. And I'm telling you, there are massive machines everywhere. From their barrel machines to their... it's just so freaking cool. And I've been around, 5-axis machines or 3-axis machines. The Haas machine that, you machine all sorts of different parts. But the machines that take these castings and they'll cut out to the final lower receiver shape or upper receiver shape. Man, it was just so cool seeing how all that stuff just works. One thing I like about PWS too, well, I guess I like now, I didn't really understand then, is they build to a tighter tolerance than most other manufacturers because they want their stuff to work. So Joey was telling me about a customer that it was like 50,000 rounds through this AR and finally broke a bolt lug. 50,000 rounds. So like this dude, this customer, like he's rocking this gun. Like it is not a safe queen. And it was still, even though it broke a lug on the bolt, it was still running. Now that I wouldn't recommend, don't do that, right? Do not do that. But finally he called customer service where Joey deals with, and they figured it all out. But dude, that's amazing. Like I know some folks will look at like a Palmetto gun and like, oh dude, it's like $400, man. It's just good as enough. That's a lot of money, right? They're not the same. I'm telling you, it's not. The materials they use to produce, the machining, the tolerances, the QC, it's not the same. And I also didn't realize how much stuff PWS did for other companies. And I'm sure it's common knowledge, but I'm not going to talk about it because I don't want to get in trouble if maybe it's not common knowledge. But let's just say PWS builds a lot of stuff for other well-known companies. And all these machines are set up, and it's not like three Haas machines out there. I mean, it's, I don't know how many mills and lathes and stuff they had out there. The building is huge. Okay, it's absolutely huge. So we looked through all that stuff. I really wish it could have been like on a normal work day, so I could see the folks running the machines and seeing how things work. It would have been really cool, but it was still a ton of fun. Oh, excuse me for a second. It's 11:30, and I'm still going strong. Oh, yeah. Let's see, where was I going from there? Oh, yeah, so like extrusions. So like their forends and stuff, they get these extrusions, and then they're cut to a specific length, and then they're sent to the machines that mill out the rest to perfection. Like, that's what blows my mind. Like, a quality company can build something consistently, hundreds of parts a day, maybe thousands of parts a day, to specifics, like to tight tolerance, like just tens of thousands of an inch tolerance. And to me, that's amazing. Maybe it's not amazing to you. Maybe you're like, that's stupid, Steve. Why are you even talking about this? I'm talking about it because there's domestic companies within the state of Idaho producing world-class products. The guy that bought PWS is no slouch. Like, I don't remember his name, so I'm not going to try and say it because I'll screw it up. And then people will laugh at me and tell me I don't know anything about the community. But he understands the firearm community. Like, he's been on both sides of running a gun, right? Pulling a trigger is a job, and building triggers is a job. He understands it. He understands business. Stuff that Joey was telling me, I'm not going to talk about here because I don't know if I can. Like, the dude understands business. And he understands how important it is to stand behind a product. And he put his money where his mouth is, and he's doing things that are awesome. Absolutely awesome. Now, price point on PWS, they're not cheap rifles, man. Be prepared to spend a little extra coin. But it's coin well spent. If you're a tool guy, think about going to let's see, how can I put this? Think about you're going to a place by a harbor where they have a lot of freight, and you're buying a set of screwdrivers compared to going and finding a truck where things snap on and you buy a set of screwdrivers. Now, you might think $4.99 for a set of screwdrivers compared to $199 for a set of screwdrivers. That to somebody that doesn't buy and use tools professionally, it doesn't make sense. But if your life and your family's life depend on a specific tool, it makes sense to spend the extra money. Because you need reliability, you need the customer support, and you need to know that your faith in that particular tool will return the favor when you need it. So it's worth spending the money. I used to think that um, BCM was going to be my last rifle, meaning the rifle that, I put my faith in a ton. But I've changed my mind after walking through that facility. PWS is going to be my last rifle. That's how much I believe in their product right now. I have a little bit of trigger time behind them. I know how they feel. I know how they shoot. The gas system's kind of interesting, where it's a piston instead of impinged. I don't know. It's going to be awesome. Let's see here. Where else did we go through? Oh, so the previous, I'm not going to talk about this. Let's just say there's a bunch of other cool stuff upstairs. A bunch of other way cool stuff that Joey showed me, and I guess there used to be more cool stuff upstairs. And if Joey listens, he knows what I'm talking about. But I'm not going to talk about what's up there. And Blake, if you're listening to me, you have your name on something that I want. Mr. Blake Young, you know who you are. You have something with your name on it upstairs, and you don't need it, but I do. And it's Russian, and it's cool, and I need it in my life. You know what I'm talking about, Blake. You know it. So all in all, my trip to Boise, my teaching opportunity, the opportunity to connect with somebody I didn't know beforehand, the opportunity to go through a place where guns are born, not conceived, but born, was awesome. I mean, how cool is that to spend a weekend and see something that most people don't have a clue about? Awesome. And Joey, I appreciate the time that you took out on a day that you don't even work. Man, nobody wants to work on a Sunday, but you allowed me to tag along through PWS, and it was absolutely cool beans. Friends, I know sometimes I get passionate about the firearms community. I get frustrated with anti-gun law. I get excited about new guns. I get excited to share my love for the community, for the firearms industry. Don't let my passion distract you or dissuade you or annoy you, because I'm sure I annoy some of you, and that's all right. I honestly don't care if I annoy you. This is who I am, and this is something that I love and I care about. The only thing that I love more than the firearms community, there's a few things, let's put it this way, there's a few things that I love more than the Second Amendment in the firearms community. Number one is my Father in heaven, and I don't care if you don't like religion. I know that God lives because I've seen his hand in my life. I know that for a fact. The next thing that I love is my family. My family means everything in this mortal life to me. The next thing after that is this country. And it tears me to the soul when I think about the people that are supposed to be in charge dismantling and destroying this country. That hurts a lot. After that, that's when like the Second Amendment comes in, which I know kind of falls under the government. If I could just share my passion with you on one of those things, then I would consider myself a success in this conversation. But in this instance, I want you guys to understand how important this election coming up is. And I don't care how you vote, red or blue, whatever. I don't care. Just vote. Vote. Make your voice heard. There's a lot at stake coming up soon. Yeah, I'm worried about the next 2 years, the next 6 years, because there's so much unknown coming down the pipeline. Get out and vote. If you see the same things that I do, or see things the same way I do your homework, because especially in the state of Idaho, there are people that are saying that they're pro Second Amendment that really are not. Do your homework. Look at their voting records. Don't just vote for somebody because they're a Republican or they're a Democrat or they're independent. I had a conversation this weekend too about somebody. I made a joke about Donald Trump, and I make fun of Donald Trump just as much as I would Joe Biden. And he says, "Oh, I hate that asshole. That's why he made me join the independent party." That's fine. Whatever. I know Trump wasn't perfect. He is not a savior. He did no favors to the Second Amendment. Okay? Do your homework. If you're a praying person, pray and ask for help. Don't just rely on Fox News or any of the local news to get your information. Research it. Research these people. Look at their history. Man, election times brings out the worst in politicians because they just want to lie to get your vote. Tulsi Gabbard just said she was going to switch to the Republican Party, which is great because honestly, I do feel like she's probably more conservative than a lot of the Republicans, but she's not pro-gun. Despite what pictures she puts online, she's buying for a vote. Election time is coming up quickly. And desperate people will do desperate things, okay? Some of these politicians are desperate. Do your homework, okay? Don't even listen to me. Like when it comes to stats or whatever, and I pull out a stat, don't trust me. Look it up. When I taught the class, I told the folks there in the class that I was like, do you guys know that there's about 3,000 times a day where firearms are used to save a life in the United States? None of them knew that. None of them. And if you don't believe me that statistic's real, look it up. If you want to see some amazing, true reporting, look up John Lott. Professor John Lott. He just came out with another report where the FBI has been underreporting the use of defensive firearm uses against mass shootings. For years, the FBI said that it's no more than 4%. Well, John Lott and his research crew jumped in there because it didn't sound quite right. It's closer to 34% of the mass shootings in the United States are stopped by concealed carry holders. We never hear about them because they never make the news because they weren't mass shootings. 34% of the time in a mass shooting event is stopped by somebody with a gun. That doesn't mean that person shot the other person, the potential mass murderer. It doesn't mean that Mary Jane soccer mom blasted a dude. It means she pulled a gun and showed some resistance and that guy gave up. Make firearms use normal again. Oh, not firearms use, firearms ownership. Friends, you are the front line. You are the rubber that meets the road. You are normal. Owning a gun in the United States is normal. I know that there are some very abnormal gun owners out there. And they're always the ones that are loud and annoying and draw way too much attention. Most of us, it is not our nature to be vocal about our gun ownership. Because we don't want people to know, right? It's not we don't want that to be what defines us. But maybe it's time to let people know that, yeah, you support the Second Amendment. That it's normal to own a gun in the United States. Listen, my time's getting short. I'm gonna bring this to an end. I appreciate you guys so much. I appreciate you willing to take the time out, the hour or whatever it's going to end up being by the time this show's over, that you're willing to take your time out to listen to me. I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear what you're fearing, what you're feeling, what your worries are about the Second Amendment. I want to know what you guys are feeling and dealing with. Email me, rangemindedpodcast or rangeminded@gmail.com. You can find me personally on Instagram at impracticaltactical. Sorry, I'm doing 3 things at once. You can find me on Facebook at Steve Zimmerman. I want to hear from you guys. I want to know what you're dealing with. Because you know what? We're all dealing with the same things, okay? Gas is expensive, ammo's expensive, food is outrageous. It's a distraction. Be vocal, okay? Again, I want to hear from you. rangeminded@gmail.com. And I know I've talked about things that are coming down the pipeline. I've stopped talking about things that are coming down the pipeline because they're taking too damn long. And when they happen, they happen, okay? We'll get there when that comes to fruition. Email me. I want to hear from you guys. In the meantime, be safe, be vigilant. Understand Colonel Jeff Cooper's color code. Stay in yellow. Okay? Don't be a victim. But share your love for the firearms community. Reach out and take somebody shooting. I love you guys. Be safe. We know your time is precious, and we are so grateful that you hung out with us on this episode. If you liked what you heard, make sure you give us a big thumbs up and share us with your friends. If you want to get in contact with us, you can email me at rangeminded@gmail.com or find me on the socials, whether it be Rangeminded on both Facebook and Instagram, or you can even find me on my personal page on Instagram, Impractical Tactical. Guys, I love you, I appreciate you, and dang it, take somebody shooting.